138. Talking about amps.
138. That's one.
Let's go. Shout out 138. MJ38 pushing through. Yes. Welcome in. Life is good. As always. Getting the waters nice and warm. Setting the temperature of that social hot tub there, but to be jumping into right now.
You are now cruising at 38 degrees.
38-degree altitude. On the latitude and longitude. And we're moving. But yes, I think, do you want to pray us in?
Absolutely. And proud of you. Proud of us. Thank you for all the work you do for the podcast. 130 episodes. No joke. I was watching highlights, montage, compilations last night of us. I was like, I fucking love this thing. It's awesome. So I feel like let's keep it moving.
138.
That being said, if you want to join me in prayer before the podcast.
Yes.
Dear Father God, thank you for this opportunity to do this thing that I love to do, podcasting, and to hang out with this person that I love, Justin, and for the audience members and the platform that you've given us. Please put it in our hearts to honor that. Please help our subconscious to honor that. Please help our instincts to honor that by putting the lens of Jesus Christ first when we look through into the world and look through into these conversations. Please keep any kind of distractions or anything that would deter us off of the line of thinking that is truly us and truly how you would have us to be. I don't know if the words we say specifically matter in your grand scheme, but I ask that you just keep us in the right energy, keep us in the right mind frame to be talking about things in a way that you could be appreciative of. And Jesus Christ's name, I pray these things. Amen.
Amen. All the glory. Amen.
Just want to keep praying. I'll pray with you guys for like 10 minutes, bro.
Prayer and thinking are indistinguishable.
Yeah, that's true.
Michael. There's nothing but prayer.
Yeah.
There's like an added moment to it for sure, but there's something where you're in here.
Yeah.
Everything you're thinking.
It's like if my subconscious already can identify what I want this to be ideally, and then like just running that through the frame of asking Jesus for help with that also realigns what I want to happen here ideally, because like you're thinking about like, you know, acting in front of your parents, you act differently than if you're just like alone. So then I'm like, and then just like articulating that isn't that difficult most of the time, you know? I feel like that's prayer too. Like, please help us with, what am I doing again? Oh yeah, here's what I'm doing again. God help me with that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. There's a posture of gratitude and not like begging, but beholding or like submitting to, or like there's something higher than you. It's like a higher authority.
Yeah, I tried to do that with my first.
It's like help, you know what I'm saying?
It's like, help me, please.
I'm asking for these things.
I can't do this on my own. I know I can't do this. I submit to you.
I'm insufficient.
Yeah, yeah.
Instead of thinking, I'm enough the way I am.
No.
I know more than enough.
Jesus.
I can trust my conceptualization of what's going on here. I believe myself fully. How am I foolish? Some pride going on there. Some pride in there.
Yeah, you have just enough grip on reality to think that you can make plans. It's not. Yeah, we're barely. Anything can happen at any
We
time.
contribute, but yes, that's facts.
Yeah, situation can change on a dime.
We have a allotted amount of responsibility to adopt. An infinite amount.
Yeah. Is there any way to turn me up just a little
Never
bit?
ends.
I'm sorry to be breaking the fifth wall right here. I'm just like a little quieter than I like to be normally. Okay, that feels better. I can hear myself. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? How are y'all doing today? Justin, how are you doing today? Welcome to the show.
What's up? I'm feeling good.
Post-Spurs apocalypse down here in San Antonio.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I noticed, I don't know if we talked about it, but other people have been asking me in my life, hey, what's it like in San Antonio? It sucks, right? Heartbreak City. You guys blew a 5-game lead. And leads in 5 games, whatever. You feel me? You got me. Leads in 4 games.
They're leading.
The thing that I tell them is it was real quiet. It was very quiet in the whole city the morning after we lost. It's just quiet, sad, morose, bleak, dark. No media circus. No more drone
No
show.
parade.
No fucking. No, there wasn't even.
I thought the parade was happening for real. I was on it. Spurs in 7.
Then you open up the gram in New York City's falling apart, going up. If it's a 1 out of 10 scale, they're on a solid 13. Things are getting weird, spooky. And I was just like, man, it's the stark difference between knowing nothing is happening. It's not even barricades in the downtown sections of our city. It's like nothing's. They're all gone. They're all in New York. all the NBA people.
I saw all the cops leave downtown after we lost, or like not all of them, but a squad of people. You know, like they were manned up, ready to enforce some order on some mayhem,
Yeah,
celebratory mayhem.
tough. See, that was my biggest
It's like,
thing. It's fucking quiet.
It's
dude.
devastating.
Devastating.
Spurs are different here in San Antonio than a lot of other franchises. They have only the Spurs, no like pro football teams out of San Antonio. It's like Houston or Dallas, Houston or Dallas.
Yeah.
But in the NBA, the Spurs are something. You know,
big.
Greg Popovich.
Yeah.
That's respect.
It's respect.
That's respect, dog.
So yeah, we talked about it a little bit last podcast, but just wanted to brush on that because everybody was asking me. Father's Day just happened. Shout out all the fathers out there.
Father's Day, masculine energy. We need it. Yes, we have a good father. And that's facts, though.
That's facts. Shout out. Our father.
Generation of consciousness. Your thoughts on consciousness you were talking about, right?
Yeah. Man, that's a whole fun. Let me warm up for a second.
Yeah.
Get my brain.
Let's skip into it. Let's get a run to start.
I was going to say, I had a question for you, which was jury duty.
Yes.
I was going to ask you over the phone, but I figured I'd just save it for the potty. So how'd that go down? Did you walk in there like a flagrant racist?
Yeah.
Is that your move?
Can't pick me. I'm racist as hell. It didn't even get to that. I guess because there was a large gathering of people. It was a lot of people. It was like probably close to like 500 people. And then they were bringing us in groups of like 100 or 50 or 30 at a time. And then by the time it got to like I didn't go until I got there at 8. We didn't start that process of starting names until like 9:30. And then I was probably like the 4th or 5th group to get called.
Damn. Okay.
And
so what time do you think you got seen?
my name was called and I was like back or into like going into phase 2 or whatever like the next step would be at probably like 11:30.
Oh my goodness.
And then 2 hours after that.
3 hours deep in this process.
Yeah. And then she's like more or less, okay, so y'all 100, like we already got, I guess, the amount of people that we needed or whatever. So like we no longer see you or need you to be here today. It's like, okay. So like we're free to go.
Nice.
So I was like, nice.
And that was it?
Nice. Yeah.
Nice. They already found out the people.
That was it.
Sweet.
I was like, nice. All right, cool.
Pretty optimal.
Later, dog.
Didn't even have to like
Doses, bro.
I saw a funny skit play out of my head where you're like, you figure out the way that you're gonna get out of this jury duty is just like you're a ridiculous enough person that they'd never want you anyways. So you're like, yeah, I make hip hop music, I do a podcast, I work in a restaurant, you know, I'm married and I'm a stepdad, I do this. You just like describe your life, you're like really proud of who you are, and you're like, they'll never want me. It's just like this is our guy. This is our guy right here on the jury panel. That's one of our 12.
12 angry men, dog.
You belong there.
Anyone want to be there.
Well, optimal outcome for Justin as far as jury duty goes.
Yeah, I was trying to get in and get out.
I love it.
It was nice. I was like, yes.
Well done.
Yes.
Did you think about that beforehand? Did you
think about what?
Set the stage for that to happen in your mind and your mental conscious, or did you kind of go in just like more whatever happens? Did you have any intention on the outcome?
I definitely was hoping that it would be something chill like this type of situation.
Yeah.
But I was willing and ready for it to be something like, all right, I gotta. Even like I was assuming I might get selected more than not. I think you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Hoping for the best, but preparing for the worst.
Right. It's a good mental.
I was like, and even then, it's fine.
I think,
but it's gonna suck. It's gonna suck if you're on this thing for. I don't know what a typical jury duty term is if you're in there.
Sure. How
often do they go? Or how long do they go for in some of the cases, criminal cases or whatever?
Some of them will go for weeks. If you get on like, you know, some people were selected for the jury duty for the glove don't fit, you must have quit.
OJ?
Yeah. How long did that trial go off for?
That was probably like one of the longest, I'm sure.
Yeah, so you get on the wrong case or the right case, you're like, might be a couple months. Be like, yo, y'all gotta pay me, bro. Come on, government.
What are you talking about?
Taking a 2-month vacation doing civil duty. Where's my civil salary?
I think you get up to $58 per day if you're in there. You get $20 for the first day, and then $58 for every subsequent day after that. But
okay. Well, they're trying. It sounds about like the government. But okay, so yeah, with consciousness is
jury duty. Sorry.
no, just propelling us forward.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy that outcome happened for you. So like consciousness is like one of those buzzwords that I think we all have like a similar definition for, but there's not exactly a concrete definition. But um for me, for like an obvious definition is just the fact that we're like on or awake, or there's some kind of driving life force inside of you. Like you use your eyes to perceive things. That's like your consciousness is like the thing perceiving things. And then there's like a subconscious, right? It's like attached to consciousness as a word. And that subconscious is like part of your awareness that isn't privy to your conscious awareness. And your consciousness is like both of those things or all of those things or
your experience of it.
Yeah, something.
Both those things interplaying.
Right. Right. Something like that, right? The all-encompassing aspect of your capacity to perceive and experience and be aware of any and all of this that's going on. And so, but then on Joe Rogan in the last like 2 weeks, there's been 2 podcasts that were like psychedelic in nature. Did you listen to the Chase Hughes ones by chance? Nutty, bro. Crazy. Just hops right into this podcast talking about like DMT right off the rip. And, I've heard a bunch of podcast stories about DMT and stuff like that. Like, I know what it is colloquially. Like, one thing I'd never heard before is apparently, and I was going to do some research on this, but I didn't. I got busy watching our clips, but apparently there's like an entity in the DMT realm that like, if you go there too many times, they'll like lock you out and like, you'll like approach this DMT realm and this entity will be like, no more, you're locked out. And you'll be like locked out maybe forever or a certain period of time, and you can't go into like the alien spaceship anymore. And then like Chase Hughes is talking about this, and then Joe Rogan's like, yeah, no, I've heard about this. I know what you're talking about. It's like the guy that says no, right? And I'm like,
the ultimate Agent Smith.
Yeah, I'm like, both of y'all know about this, and then they're talking about why that happens to people. Maybe maybe they start using DMT too much in like the wrong frame of reference or for the wrong reason, or like the honorable spirit of what the psychedelic is trying to do for you is like, this is not good anymore. You're on probation or something like that. That's crazy. We're talking about crazy stuff here. We're talking about woo-wooville.
Yeah.
Population. This podcast.
Gone.
So, got me thinking about consciousness and stuff like that.
DMT is crazy. Continue.
Crazy stuff, right? So allegedly you smoke like or lick this toad or
whatever it is, whatever lick this toad it comes across to translate into.
Yeah, right. I think it's a thing you smoke and it's a thing you can vape.
Okay.
And then you but there is like a frog that makes DMT on its back too. And you could like extract it from the frog.
Right from the source.
Yeah, facts. There's also like implants that you could like ayahuasca.
Yeah, ayahuasca plant. Yeah.
And then they're like similar in
botanist creation.
There's like a chemical component similarity between these things, but not that it's the same chemicals. It's different chemicals, but regardless, then this is like a 15-minute experience where you would like smoke this thing and be like, and then you would be like transported out of your body. And then people see like these common things when they're there. And then also when they're there, they feel like, one, they died. And then 2, they have transcended whatever life and death is. And then 3, they're at like a source, like a place where they like feel like this place knows everything. And then you kind of know everything because you're around this thing that knows everything. And it all like makes sense to you and it feels familiar and you understand it. And then there's like these machine elves there, apparently.
Okay.
And these like demon jokers there, apparently, who aren't necessarily not on your side or on your side. But it does feel like they're trying to tell you something important. But they also might be like, this guy doesn't get it. Like, you can't come back here anymore. It's fucking annoying. We don't know exactly what that is. But then this is a common experience for all these people that do it. And it's transcendent and crazy and mind-blowing. And they feel like they're better humans for it when they do it. Weird, right? Okay, so that's setting the stage for like this DMT rolling around in my brain. I had a friend in college named Steven Zabrenick. And the only reason I remember his last name is because Luke just brought him up the other day, and he remembered his last name, and that kind of blew my mind. He's a super cool dude. We hung out with him a lot. He stayed in his roommate for a little bit, and then he took us out to his beach house or lake house at LBJ. Taught me how to wakeboard, and we painted our rims while we were out there. Watched the Manny Pacquiao fight. Awesome core memory. Cool dude.
Nice.
He took me and Luke, both of us, that weekend. We just chilled. He said that his dad had this trick where before he would go to bed, he would like run through his plan for the day. Like, I'm doing this and I'm going to the grocery store and I'm going there. And then he would like visualize it like it was like, a movie. And then try to, see everything that was going to happen and play it all out, plan it all out. And then Steven was telling me that his dad, when they're drinking sometimes, will swear that there are days where it's like literally exactly like he had seen it the night before because he's done it, I don't know, for like 10, 20 years. It's like some days are like identical to his plan. And he's like, his dad's like, I don't know how that, like I'm telling like bar for bar. It's like, I saw this whole day last night. I'm trying to do the same thing tonight. It'll probably happen again. And like, so then my new thoughts on consciousness, I just realized in this moment are really similar to that because I think that there's something to our ability to like pray in faith or be sure or have certainty that things will relatively go this way. And then on some level, we can like kind of have a more finalized rough draft. Like sometimes like we think a day's going to go that way and then we go into it and then it's kind of like that, but it's kind of not. But then maybe if we put more intention and more consciousness into making that happen, then it's more surefire that it'll go that way. That's when there's something to us, like it's almost like manifestation or like seeing it before it happens.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think that there is something to that.
Expressing intent.
Yes, with our consciousness, like, and maybe sometimes there's bigger canon things that are like, okay, well, F your intent, it's not enough. Like you're just a human. There's big things happening today. 9/11's happening today. Bleak example, but
continue.
But
okay,
for the most part, I think that this could. There's something to. I saw this Doctor Strange clip that also kind of just like put it in my mind that that's what that movie's trying to say too. Is that our consciousness is like more powerful or transcendent or more wieldable than maybe we know. And then I also think there's something to brain waves. Like your brain is in different types of waves from time to time. So there's like theta waves and delta waves. And like I think sometimes like your frequency can also be where your brain waves are. And if your brain waves are differently, your experience of the reality you're in can be different. There's times where I'm just like knowing what's happening before it's happening as it's happening, and I'm just cooking and gliding and all the things I'm saying, like in Fallout when you try to use your speech, sometimes you like fail, or like if you were to roll for charisma, I'm rolling like 20 20 20 20. I'm just like, okay, something else is going on, like no one rolls 5 20s in a row. I'm not narcissistic enough to think this is like my normal behavior, I keep saying, I'm trying to slit the throat of that hesitation word.
Whoa. Murder on the pod.
Paint you guys a picture of what goes on in my mental frames.
You gotta kill that.
So I don't want to try to like white claw. I do want to white claw my life. Yeah, white knuckle my life. And be like, I have to manifest all these perfect moments and get into these right brainwaves. But when I'm in that right brainwave, I'm just like, this is it. Sometimes you're suffering, like having bad days and shit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Thanks.
But when I'm in that like just hating mode where the music is like, I feel like I'm just like everything feels so good, The sunset hitting, the drive's hitting,
the story of the day.
One last pivot off of that thought and idea was something that happened to me. Like, I remember driving to Steve's house listening to Ocho Cinco on Theo Von's podcast, and I'm on the toll road, and it's just taking forever, bro. I'm just like,
the drive?
Yeah. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've got so much longer to go. It's like still another 50 minutes to get there. It's like time was crawling. And this time, like the drive to there flew by. I get in the car, I start driving to my dad's house. Time's flying by. I'm cruising. I feel great. I kind of like, am I lost? I'm like, no, I just don't really drive this way anymore, but I'll be there soon. Keep driving. Then I get to Waco, and I'm like, no, dude, I definitely went too far. This is crazy. And I pull out my map, and I went 30 minutes past Temple, and I was like still cruising, cooking good. And I had to drive an extra hour to get where I was going because I went 30 minutes past it and then 30 minutes back to it. But like, that's how good I was. Just like felt fine driving. And I was like, what's the difference there? You know what I mean? It's hard to. Sometimes just your energy level, but I don't know. It was weird. It's another thing about consciousness that's weird. Is just like the perception of the experience can change so dramatically based on what You know?
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Your interpretation of the experience, your experiencing of the experience by your brainwaves, your thought patterns, your emotional attachments to experience what you believe is happening here. But then also the inarguable experience of what you're experiencing. But even in the same, I guess, kind of narrative, you can have drastically different vantage points that give you different emotional responses and a spiritual faith of hope that aligns you differently than if you don't have hope. You know what I'm saying?
Mm, mm. Yeah.
You're just cooking
The
on
doctor.
the right brainwaves, or like in the flow state whenever we see the story playing out.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not sure exactly what it is. Doctor Strange was kind of like pointing to, um, like yoga would be a way that we would learn how to like use our consciousness to do things you would deem impossible. And then Doctor Strange is like, that's so cliche. Like you're like the one person on earth that can actually use their consciousness in this crazy kind of way. And you're like, oh, it's just yoga. And then the lady's more or less like, you're so dismissive of this stuff, and like you're asking me to help you understand something that you don't understand, and then you're dismissive of like the person who's telling you how to do the thing that you don't understand. That doesn't even make any sense to me. And then she just like, I don't know, like she like slaps him, but then slaps his astral body out of his physical body, and then he's like, oh, and then goes back into his body, and then he's like, well, what the fuck was that? Sorry, pardon my language. And then she's like, yeah, I'm telling you, you don't. I just put you in your astral body and then brought you back. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. Then he's like, oh, okay, maybe I should. Then he like becomes Doctor Strange or whatever, trains with this lady. And I think the thing that they're pointing to right there is like the thing that I'm trying to say on this podcast, which is like yoga is something's happening there that's weird. And it's like your consciousness becomes it's like, yeah, it's like 2D to 3D. That's another thing I'm trying to like paint out as picture too. It's just like this 2D world that we're living in right now that you're like driving and you're like beep booping through your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's like play with consciousness can put you into the 3D world where it's like all of your 2D-ness is just like irrelevant, or like, yeah, they're your problems, but you're not uh like things are you're in such a
Metaphysical plane.
yeah, that all of your problems, it's not that they feel manageable or you're like, I'll deal with this. It's just like you're beyond that. You're like, yeah, I'm good. Everything's good. We're gonna take action, and the narrative is playing out, and all I can do is what I'm doing right now anyways, and we're doing that well. So it's like we're good. I don't know how to, it's like almost what Jesus is saying, that like his burden is light. It's like I feel that way when I'm like in a 3D consciousness. I'm just like the burden is light. Like this is life. Things are good. There's a lot of things to be thankful and grateful for.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter what your situation looks like, the drama that's playing out within the situation is so like no one's life is any better than anybody else's life. Like I think LeBron just got put on blast by Drake for having like a side chick in front of like everybody in America.
That's the suggestion. Allegedly, on.
Allegedly, that's what's going on. And like, you know,
Allegedly.
that sucks for LeBron, as much as, you know, his team's not in playoffs. He's got put on blast.
Unfortunate. Unfortunate, for sure.
But then you look at LeBron, you're like, well, why can't I dunk like that and get paid millions of dollars? I'm saying like the narratives are the narratives of the narratives.
Mm-hmm.
That's me being off the deep end this week.
Oh, consciousness, bro. Your intent, your ability to express intent towards something, have prayer towards something, like want to create something. Our creative ability.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Yeah, play feels like the right word, because it's like, what is our consciousness doing? Like its duty, I guess, bearing its cross. But it's like, I think it's experiencing, perceiving, and then analyzing, and then dictating behavior. Well, what's its goal? Play's a simple answer because it's like, have fun, enjoy the experience, you know? Like explore yourself through enjoyment. I think that's what we'd like to do.
If that leads you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Like, no, nah, something else needs to lead you.
Mm.
Something else needs to dictate the posture of your creative expression
The phrase that
and
comes to mind
contribution.
is like bearing a cross.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the duty part, you know?
Mm-hmm. What is influencing? Uh, we believe in something, or something is guiding us, you know? I guess, do you think that that realm that they're talking about in the Joe Rogan Chase Hughes DMT experience, that realm is always here, always present? And we're just interplaying with it at this level of consciousness and awareness. In this current state, this is like default. But there is, like, that's the truth that is like the upper limits of that place. But like, the inevitable truth is that we are at least there. There, like, something is happening at this level and we can experience it. Like, so maybe that the depths of it are always there on either side, or the complexities, the crazy experiential, undeniable. That's like the knowingness that comes from experience.
Do I think that's always there?
The realm with the jesters or whatever they're talking about. You know what I'm saying?
There's a lot of. Do I have certainty on how I feel about this? Like, not exactly.
We're all just exploring. Who knows, man?
Yeah, I think that.
But I think God gave us a book about it.
So there's that. That's one of the main like barriers between me and like just being more invested in being a psychonaut. So I don't think that we have to like. It's almost potentially the knowledge of good and evil, which God is like, you don't need that. Like that is like maybe that is the metaphysics of how he set up the earth to run or whatever. And he's like, bro, like you don't need to see the settings. Like there's no reason for you to go into the developers tab. I don't want you looking at code. Like I'm trying to. You're the main character in my story. Stop trying to look at the code. That's for like developers. I guess is what I would be worried that I am worried that God feels that way, you know. But then there's other times where, and people will also like justify it by saying that the psilocybin is like a medicine for trauma and PTSD and stuff like that. So like they'll microdose and be like, well, I'm trying to use it as a medicine.
That's become a thing in the last 10, 15 years, big time.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm like, probably true, you know? I think it is true. But I'd rather just take the big dose and then get like really out there and have a full experience and then kind of do it that way than to microdose around it and then justify it by saying, well, I'm only doing a little bit. Like, yeah. So this guy Chase Hughes, he had taken like a high dose of Alzheimer's medication.
Oh.
But while he was doing his DMT trip.
What? Why?
Yeah, because the Alzheimer's medication is like a memory supplement. So he was trying to like remember as much as he possibly could of how it felt like to be in that realm and bring it into like his earth body. Cause he was like that invested in this fucking process. So he's at like a clinic that's like created and made for you to do this there. And it's like this really nice space with like good feng shui and like running water and bushes and this big giant like sofa thing in the middle. And then I guess like they have it intravenous. Oh no, they have it like a anesthesia pump. And then if like if it's too hard on you, you can like have them turn it down. And then it's just like you level back out. And they can be like, okay, I'm gonna like use the restroom real quick. And I guess like they have like a open pee policy. You can go pee anytime you need to. And then like he came back and then he was like, all right, send me back up. And they're like, all right, whoop. And he's like, gone. Out of there, bro.
Back. Send me back up. No, dude. What?
Back with his face elves. These are things happening in our
Back
society.
with his face elves. Oh my gosh. Yo, what's happening here?
This is a real thing that people are doing. Same with the ayahuasca clinics, or the shamans in Peru and in Mexico, the ibogaine centers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, Michael. How I feel. Part of me is like, should we? I want to go do the ibogaine experience. It sounds insane.
It sounds crazy.
Yeah.
Yo.
But I've been doing. I mean, for what? That's another question you gotta ask yourself. It's like, for why? Why are you trying to? Sometimes it just helps you shed your bullshit, I guess, is what most people say. And then these hyper competent people are into shedding their bullshit just as like a like a practice, just so that like Joe Rogan be like, yeah, I'm always trying to like. He says
Hmm.
after an experience like that, you have like a folder called My Old Bullshit, and then you could like just not open that folder, but pretty much everybody opens that folder and then pulls some of it like back out. He's like, I do too. Like, it's hard to stop doing all of your bad habits that you've had throughout your life all at once, but hopefully these experiences help you like shed off as much as you can from time
Mm.
to time,
Mm.
so that way you can become this better version of yourself, this higher conscious being.
Mm.
So that's kind of where they're coming from, I guess, as far as people like Chase Hughes and Joe Rogan and
Yeah.
Chris Williamson doing these things.
I agree with all of that. But then now I'm thinking it's Christ. You know what I'm saying? Or like that is Christ like energy, or like whatever that is going towards that shedding of us of the sin that surrounds us, that's inevitable, that's battling, plaguing us, the things that we know that we're doing, or whatever.
Yeah.
Our shame and our guilt.
Yeah.
And then having that leak back out. But hopefully you could become less and less of that. Like legitimately like sanctification. That's like what the idea is. You know what I'm saying? I think that's like just what it is.
You're striking chords. I feel like you're hitting that thing right now. Yeah.
Right.
It's a.
That's Christ.
You could take the stretch saying, so Justin, you're saying that taking DMT would make you Christ like. You're saying that there's just a resemblance in the metaphysical process of trying to do something, even doing something scary
Come into
to.
contact with a spirit that would make you feel like you transcended your problems.
And there's something that resembles Christ like nature to you in that thing and what you know the meta story of Christ to be. Yeah. No,
You know what I'm saying? Because it's like he was a person and then he came back. It's like that's. And he brought other people back too. It's like the idea of he was a real person. It's like, okay. Feels he died. You know what I'm saying? It feels like we all die. That's like that's inevitable. But he didn't die though. It's like, yo.
one other thing that
Oh, you don't believe he came back or whatever. But like historically speaking, this is like a person who like did these things, and like we're still talking about it. And it was so magnificent that it started this movement.
yeah. One other thing that uh one other thing that Chase Hughes had said was that he so they asked him if they wanted to pray over the DMT before he takes the DMT. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, that's a weird question.
Okay.
And then
These people in the clinic?
yeah.
Okay.
And then I guess his wife prays over it, but he doesn't pray over it. And then he goes into the experience and these like aliens, I guess he said they like abducted him and then like freaking cut him open like vertically.
Dissected him?
Yeah. And he's like not having any pain during this process. But then they're working on like his stomach for like what felt like a long time, like hours, and then like working on his um maybe either his heart or his head. I can't remember which one he said. And then after the whole experience, he comes back out and he's like, telling his wife about this. And then his wife says that when she prayed over it, she prayed that the whatever he was coming into contact with would fix his stomach and his heart, or his stomach and his head, because he has like something wrong with his gut and then he had something wrong with his heart. And then she specifically had asked for those things. And that was like the first, he's like, yeah, right when I get in there, I start doing all this stuff. And she's like, yo, that's kind of crazy. So it's like, also, what if his heart is healed after that? What are we even talking about then? That's, you know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. That's where it becomes like 3D. It's like in the 2D, you have like a tummy problem. And then somehow in the third dimension, aliens slice you open, go into your gut. Then you come back into your body and you're healed. Like that's bananas. You know what I, like I don't want to keep asking, do you know what I mean? I don't know what I mean.
What happened there? It's crazy that these places exist to do this specific type. I've heard of the ayahuasca stuff, and I've heard of the ibogaine stuff. I never heard of a DMT memory enhanced trip like place.
Me neither.
That's like Psychedelic Academy 101.
Dude, yeah. And then my dad
You're
watches this
going out there.
podcast called The Y Files, and then the Y Files host has been on Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan talks about how much he loves that show, and then like the the that show just had an episode like this week also about a like they're both the host was into DMT, and then the guest they brought in was talking. It's like a DMT expert, and then they're having this whole breakdown. My dad's like, "You seen this stuff?" And I was like, I was trying to show him Chase Hughes, and then he's like, "Well, let me show you this," and then he's like, "This is a guy talking about," and I was like, "Dude, I'm trying to show you the same thing. Like, what are the odds of that? You know?" It's crazy.
Wow. Crazy.
Unexplainable.
Deeper than we know.
With all that being said,
deeper than we know.
You got something for the people? What do you do with that? That's always the end of a sermon, or at least maybe how I would write them. I've seen a lot of sermons be like, "Here's a lot of theology. Where's the practicality? How you walk with that?"
There is a better place. There is a true objective truth. Something going on here that's being generated from somewhere that we do not understand. So lean not on your own understanding. I think there's a couple of the scriptures in that same vein, but either way, like his ways are higher than our ways. And there's a trust in whatever that thing is that's outside of us, whatever it is. The creation of consciousness, whatever goes on in those realms. We can't understand it, bro. We don't get it. Not at this level. Not in the 2D. Like literally in the 2D to the 3D dimension jump analysis, there's a unquantifiable jump into an unquantifiable place that we can't quite comprehend. You know, not even close.
Yeah.
And we get a glimpse of it sometimes. But I think that thing is good for us. Wants us to do well. Wants us to have a good story. The creation of story itself, the thing that is giving us experience of story, wants us to have a good story. The thing that gave us the experience of it is generated from somewhere.
I believe that.
Outside of our understanding.
Yeah.
You gotta bow to that. You gotta bow to that. And then you gotta know his name. I think it's just like if Jesus was alive and he died and he came back, that'd be enough for me if I saw it. You know what I'm saying? That'd be enough for me if I saw it.
Yeah. It was enough for a lot of people.
And it was enough for a lot of people. And that's what's trippy. It's just like, yo, what? And to like try to embrace that fully, it's hard. The whole thing.
Yeah.
And then we're clouded in what we interpret that to be. You know, the deceiver. Definitely not an ad to do any DMT or anything, but there's a place that exists outside of that place, or outside of our current understanding.
Yes.
And even that, you know what I'm saying? We're limited to a degree.
If you want a real psychedelic experience, pray in faith that it will be done. Then watch it be done. That'll be a trip.
Mm-hmm.
Find a way to conceptualize in your heart how to pray in faith. That's a high level spell. If you want to use a RuneScape analogy, to truly know how to pray in faith, that something will be done with certainty. Part of it is you have to be convicted to pray for it, and that's an egoless expression. So you'd have to be outside of your ego to really feel true conviction to pray for something right to happen.
Mm-hmm. What the best outcome is, ultimately, what needs to happen.
The way that Jesus was like, "You have been healed through your faith." It's like the feeling of like pure righteousness occurring, and then conviction that it could happen right now, that it should happen right now. In the name of Jesus, this is going to happen right now. It's like, you got to be on some, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Sometimes in those other brainwaves, like I can feel that thing. Or like, there's a podcast where I was talking about, no, I know that doesn't happen. I know that the story goes this way. Like, believe in that. I believe in that for you. It's happening. Watch. Boom, it happens. Maybe you can't be there all the time. Maybe even trying to be there isn't the kind of energy that takes you there. Lord knows. What I do know is
I'm trying to figure it out here.
Keep going. Keep pushing for it.
I'm trying to figure it out here. But yeah, man. Ultimately, I think my life is getting crazier the more I'm just like trying to dig into who Jesus is, like develop a relationship and become more like Christian or more Christ-like, or give that more intensity, or, you know what I'm saying, more importance, more significance on time units expended to do things. It's like, this is a good, worthwhile expenditure of time units for sure. It's like working out. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I love spending those units. Spending out those units, bro. Oh boy, I be hitting them legs.
Yeah.
Hitting them chests, whatever it is, bro. But the same idea of, it's just net positive. It's just a net positive expenditure. If you go 50, 40, 60, whatever, however long you get, 70, 80 years of working out, you know, staying fit, like keeping that energy, that sacrifice continual and consistent, like crazy. Different variations, you know, level. David Goggins is out there to show you like the ultimate extremes of this.
Yeah.
People doing ultra marathons and stuff. But whatever it is, it's worthwhile to do so and apply that same energy and intensity and importance to carve out for like following this Christ, Jesus person who did this thing, this miracle. And it's like, why? Why? Real person did it for you, for real. Like the way that we're real people by our own measures, you know? Like he really did this and really did that. Like for us, or he died some other way. I guess the Quran like doesn't think that he died. I think they said that he was like a prophet to some degree, but then he got like swept up the same way, kind of like Elijah, and I think Enoch. Like they didn't like die particularly; they like brought up to heaven. But Shroud of Turin, there's just so much stuff out there that's crazy. The history behind it. How do we trust history at all? Like your great grandfather, like he probably lived a crazy life, you know. And he was like a real person, because you're like a real person. And the only way that you could be a real person is if he was a real person. And like that's what's like getting passed down here, the experience of being a real person. And he did that for us. And he's got, it's like, oh, wow. Foundational. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's gotta be foundational. It's unbelievable. Did it for you. Wow.
That's beautiful.
Literally unbelievable. So we're trying to wrestle with that. But I pray we get the strength too. And in doing so, we are able to reach a promised land. And a future that's good for you. If not good for you, then good for your kids. And your kids' kids.
Yeah. It's hard to think in legacy all the time, but
thinking decades.
Yeah.
It's different. But yeah, I think we gotta get going. 138. Anything else? We love them.
I love you guys.
Keep
I love
going.
this podcast. Keep rocking and rolling.
Keep rocking. Keep the main thing. Reading your Bibles. Doing whatever it looks like in your current chapter. And expound upon that. Like working out. It's like start going on walks. Go to the sauna. And build on that. Keep pushing. And I'll see you in a decade.
Yeah, taste the fruit. Taste the fruit.
For real.
Tell me what you think.
It's gonna start small changes. And like, yeah, don't think of it like day by day, but also like in a decade's time. Like give yourself some time.
Yeah.
You can do some damage in a decade.
It's always ever going to be only what you can do today anyways.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's something to be said for just doing today. It's like the same value set as if you were yoked.
Mm-hmm. Just working out, man. Spiritually getting yoked. His burden is easy. Takes our yoke. We take his yoke. We love you. We'll see you in a billion years. Peace.
Rolling through the city to the light show. Really ain't no telling where we might